From crazy facts about our bones to our liver being able to almost completely regrow, these are some of the incredible facts about the human body that will amaze you. The human body is pretty interesting and complex, especially our skeleton. As explained by Dr. Brian Krayback, a sports medicine specialist, the body removes the old pieces of the bone as they're replaced with newer and fresher tissue, which helps keep us strong for longer. And once a 10-year stretch is completed, the bones in our body will have completely regenerated. But as we get older, this process can shift out of balance, leading to loss of bone structure and diseases like osteoporosis. Besides that, we also lose almost 1/3 of our bones as we become young adults. According to doctors at the Cleveland Clinic, you're born with about 300 bones, but the older we get, some fuse together as cartilage ossifies, leaving us with 206 once we stop growing. Either way, our bones are really strong, and I mean really strong. Sure, it's possible for us to break our bones, but that doesn't change the fact that our bones are insanely durable. As Discover explained, ounce for ounce, our bones are stronger than steel. One human bone has greater pressure tolerance and bearing strength than a rod of steel of the same width. And the strongest bone in our body, the femur, can support 30 times the body weight of the average human, which is just crazy. Now we all know that our bones are strong, but it's also a fact that there are numerous bones that make up our skeleton, and a lot of them are in our feet. In fact, human feet contain 52 bones in total, 26 per foot, and that's nearly a quarter of all the bones in our body. Each foot also contains 33 joints and over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. As for the smallest muscle in our body, it's located in our ear. I'm talking about the stapes muscle located in the bone in the middle ear, and it looks like a stirrup. It's complete with a base and an oval window, and it's covered with a membrane that's responsible for measuring sound vibrations. Now, I know all of that sounded pretty crazy, but get this. When you wake up in the morning, you're a bit taller than you were the night before. So how exactly does that work? The difference in height is because of changes in the intervertebral discs, which are between the vertebrae and spine. These discs are mainly made up of fluid, and the changes in this fluid dictate the fluctuation in height. As we go about our everyday activities, the discs are put through a lot of loading, causing the fluid in the disc to be expelled, so we return to our usual height. But once we relax in our sleep, the pressure on our spinal discs eases, and through osmotic pressure changes, we get the fluid back in the discs, which then allows us to be taller when we wake up. Speaking of fluids, did you know that our sweat doesn't inherently smell bad? Now, it's common for people to think it's their sweat that causes them to stink, but that's not true because sweat itself is odorless. So what causes the bad smell? Well, it's the interaction between the sweat and the bacteria on our skin that causes some bad BO. And this isn't anything to worry about because these bacteria naturally occur and happen to thrive in the sweatiest parts of the body. Following that, let's talk about our blood vessel, because our entire network of blood vessels stretches a massive distance. Now, I know, that sounds hard to believe, especially because individual blood vessels are pretty small, but the amount found within an average adult body tallies up in a crazy way. If we were to somehow find a way to lay them all out in a straight line, then the entire network of blood vessels would stretch well over 60,000 miles. That includes all our arteries, capillaries, and veins. But you will never believe the true size of our small intestine if you thought that was crazy. Once we eat some food, it goes through a long journey, with the grunt work of digestion happening in the small intestine, and it takes about 5 hours for the food to be processed by the small intestine, which is made up of the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. But get this, the small intestine is about 18 to 23 feet tall, so if you could uncoil it, then it would stretch to almost 4 times your height. Yeah, you heard that right. And since we're on the topic of digestion, let's talk more about our gut because it has a second brain. We all know what it's like to feel butterflies before a big moment, but there's a reason for that. Basically, there's a network of neurons that lines the gut, and some scientists refer to them as our second brain. So the gut doesn't just handle digestion, it has its own reflexes and senses, and is intricately and inextricably interwoven with our nervous system. I guess the moral of the story is to trust your gut. Besides having a second brain, the stomach also has acid in it, and it's pretty powerful. Of course, we have no reason to be putting razor blades in our mouths, let alone swallowing them. But if you do for some reason, your stomach acid can do some serious damage to them. Some researchers from Meridia Huron Hospital tested the effects of gastric juice on metal objects and found that over 24 hours, the stomach acid reduced razor blades to 63% of their original weight. So our stomachs are home to some crazy acids, but that's something we all share in common. So if you want to know about something that's unique to us, let me tell you about our tongue print. A study conducted by the Thai Mugambigai Dental College revealed that, strange as it may seem, our tongue print is as distinctive as our fingerprint. Biometric scans can be done to compare the individual shape of the tongue, such as whether it's long, short, wide, or narrow, as well as the texture, which includes ridges, wrinkles, and marks. Then the tongue image acquiring device maps and tracks the specific details of our tongue, so if you want to see what your tongue print is like, try and get this scan done. Moving on, let's talk about our eyes and some of the incredible facts about them. For those who have big eyes, there's a higher likelihood of them getting nearsightedness, aka myopia. So distant objects will look blurry because light doesn't properly reach the retina. You see, if the eyeball grows too long, lights focus too soon before it reaches the retina, so when it does, it's hard to see clearly from a distance. As for blinking, I'm sure you guys think it's just something to keep our eyes moist or to keep dust out of them, and while that's true, we actually blink more than needed for those purposes. On average, we blink about 15 to 20 times per minute, and according to a 2012 study done by researchers at Washington University, blinking helps sharpen our attention and also provides our bodies with time to recharge, so blinks are basically mini naps. What's more, according to Dr. Jennifer Yu, what we see through our eyes reaches the retina upside down, so the brain essentially flips the images that we're perceiving. Does that mean everything is actually upside down? I'm not sure because it sounds impossible. Similar to the fact about saliva production I am going to share with you. You see, humans produce a lot of saliva throughout the course of their lives. We can produce up to 1.5 liters per day, and the average human produces about 20 to 25,000 liters of saliva over their lifetime, and guess what? That's enough to fill up 2 swimming pools full of spit! But hey, just like a lot of the other facts I've told you about, it's impossible to actually put it to the test. Though, at least that isn't so for the next fact I'm going to tell you about. And it's the fact that it's impossible for us to tickle ourselves. The cerebellum, which is at the back of our brain and in charge of monitoring movement, always predicts the sensation we'll feel when we try to tickle ourselves. This serves to counter the response that a tickle would otherwise cause in other parts of our brain, such as the somatosensory cingulate cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. Research fellow Sarah Jane Blackmore told Scientific American, both of these regions are less active during self-tickling than they are during tickling performed by someone else, which helps to explain why it does not feel tickly and pleasant when you tickle yourself. Moving on to our final fact of the video. Did you know our livers can almost completely regrow? The liver is built differently because even if it's reduced by as much as 75%, it has the ability to grow back to its normal size. How does that happen? Well, it's through rapid replication of liver cells, and it manages to reach its original size, or at the very least, almost the original size, within 1 month, as per research conducted by the University of Iowa. So, from our liver being able to almost completely regrow, to crazy facts about our bones, those were some of the incredible facts about the human body that will amaze you.